Oldie but a goodie right there.
Yes, indeedy. Can't quite get that beat out of your head once it gets going.
I don't think I've heard that one in like weeks. It's
I
been forever.
know. Yeah, we just cut straight to the trailers normally. We don't have a trailer for this one.
No, there's a reason for it. This is on the front of the. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Good talk.
So that actually aligns with like how this whole project came about. I'm like, look, dude, this is totally cool. We need to totally do a live stream about how you make, how you talk into your phone and make a MetaHuman talk. So I'm like, let's do that. And as a true Gatlin form, he's like, that sounds awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
Challenge accepted. Let's do
yeah,
this.
exactly. Yeah, like any normally that's like the rule of improv, like accept all offers. So
there's nothing I won't try and do in a classroom or a live stream. Let's see if we can make this happen.
All right, this is awesome. So tell us, like, what is this stuff called, and what are we gonna do, and how intimidated should we be? What's the story here?
You shouldn't actually be very intimidated. This is definitely a process that I found really easy to do. I was surprised. A couple of little things about it. What we're actually going to be using is the webcam. So what you see here. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know if I'm going to be able to see my face through this as well as running the software at the same time. We didn't actually test that part of it yet. We've tested everything else though, so I know that's good. The other thing is that if you were going to do this with a specific phone, you can actually get like a face thing that like hangs out in front. See if I can do this, like, it's like right there in front of you, and it'll always like look at your face. And that is actually really helpful for production studios. I don't have a production studio. I have a spare office. So I'm going to be using this instead. There are a few little caveats and little things that we have to worry about along the way, but don't worry, I'll tell you all about it. Essentially what this is for is if you are working in a school and you have webcams on your computers, you can get this software called Faceware, and we'll totally show you where you can get it. You can get Unreal. Hopefully, if you've been on this channel before, you know where to get that too, but I'll show you where that's at as well. And you can link these two together. They've got a 30-day trial, which is awesome. Way more than enough time to really get some fun things in. So this is really exciting to kind of show you all how this actually works. We're going to take that and we're actually going to animate a MetaHuman inside of Unreal 5, which is like, it seems like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. But the people at Epic and the people over at Faceware, they're like, here's a couple little templates. We're going to make this super easy to do. And it's just going to kind of happen. Like there's just a couple of button clicks that you have to do. There's a lot of little, like I said, caveats and little things that you have to worry about. You'll notice I'm not wearing my hat today. That is because it works better without the hat. I also shaved nice and clean so that this thing can actually see my lips. So that helps as well. Clever like you'd actually have to take your glasses off. That would be another thing that we would have to worry about as well.
It'd be like a bad episode of Scooby-Doo.
Right? Like, I hope you got Braille on your keyboard, buddy. I know how you like to look at your fingers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the idea of what we're going to do. We're actually going to animate a MetaHuman here inside of Unreal and make it work. So we're going to see if we can set this computer on fire because we're going to be using all kinds of cool hardware and software to make it happen.
Love that.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get my screen up so y'all can kind of see that. Let's do it that way. Okay, so what you see here is one piece of software that you're going to need. So let's talk about all the boring stuff first, and then get into the actual fun stuff. So this is the Epic Games Launcher. Hopefully you're actually familiar with it. If you're not, what you're going to want to do is you're going to need this piece of software, the Unreal Engine. There is. Let me copy this and drop this in the actual chat so you all have this as well. And we'll have all these links in the description too if you're not able to find it in the chat. So this is Unreal Engine. You're going to have this. You will have to actually make an account for a couple of reasons. One, they want to make sure that we're giving it to the right person and it's not just a bot. That's a big part of it. We're also going to need it for the Quixel Bridge part because we're going to have to create a MetaHuman. If you're using Unreal 5, you can do that directly in Unreal 5. If you're doing it in Unreal 4, you'll have to actually go to Quixel Bridge. So if you need to get Quixel Bridge, let's actually grab that one too. Oh, Quixel. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. Go Quixel Bridge. You can get this, and you can browse within here and actually get to, oh, it's lost or in the desert. Well, that's I'm scanning. Good times. So let's go to products up here, though. Or is it totally down? It looks like it must be down. Nope, there it goes. Perfect. So you can get inside of here, and you can actually get inside of the Metahumans. Yay, there they are, Metahumans. So there'll be two separate things. So Unreal 4, you'll have to do this in two places, but don't worry, it's real easy. There's little buttons, and they tell you to upload it and stuff. I will be using 5, so we're going to make it easy on there. Other things that you're going to need, you will need the Faceware Studio software.
Should we get a link to Quixel Bridge, or like should I put just the download bridge in there?
I got it.
I got you.
Back and forth. Okay. Next thing you're going to need is a webcam. Sorry, if you don't have a webcam, you're not going to be able to do this. Or you're going to need an iPhone that's got the LiDAR on it so that you can actually use your face. We're not going to be using that part of it. That is actually a totally different tutorial. So we're not going to be using it. I'm going to use a webcam because most schools at least have got webcams. And then Faceware, so you can actually use your webcam to make that happen. So here's Faceware Studio. So we'll copy that. Make sure that that is in there as well. When you go to actually download all of these, of course, set it up, make sure you click off the little, I don't need newsletters, because you don't need to get all these things all the time. Real quick, Faceware does have an academic license for those of you that are at the schools. If we click over here, we should be able to find software pricing options. Here we go. So it's right down here. So our pricing options, these will disappear. And then there is academic. So you can see there's academic over here. What's actually pretty cool is that this is actually pretty manageable for individuals and indie studios. They have 2 licenses for that as well. So if you're an indie studio, you can get this much less expensive. It's like 100,000 or under what you make in the year. So that's there. So there's the academic one. And then we've actually got the real-time software that's down here, and then camera systems. If you actually want to get camera systems, I've got a webcam, so you don't have to get super, super crazy with this stuff, right? So there's all kinds of options for this. I have not seen anything for students.
So do you have to click the academic tab there? What does that do?
Yep. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we can actually get it this way too. So they say, go ahead and contact us. Let us know what you're doing. I've contacted them previous. I haven't heard back from them yet. This was like days ago. It was like right before the weekend. So
nice.
I'm glad they're not doing work this early. Right. They don't need to answer my emails yet. It's been the weekend, right? So let them work. Let them do the thing. So this is really kind of fun to kind of see what you can do on the academic side. The little bit that I've looked into it is mostly universities. It's not so much, elementary, junior high, and high school, but they're there and they're willing to help out. So that's really cool. Like I had mentioned earlier, the 30-day trial, way more than enough time. And you'll see as soon as we get into it, you're like, oh yeah, this is like super easy, right? And then you can get in there and like fine tune really cool stuff. We're not going to go super deep into it. This is not a deep dive by any means. This is a kind of get it up and running kind of setup. And within the hour, we should be able to make this happen.
Nice.
Once you actually get your registration all set up with them, so I can click up here. Sorry, that was really quick. This little button up here, little profile logo. It'll let you know who you can get in contact with. And then, yay, you can see that I have a trial. So I am using a trial for this. I'm not using the whatever version, the super awesome, crazy expensive version. It's a trial. It's got the same pieces and buttons in it, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of cool for that. It will then take you to where you can actually download pieces. So you will need to actually download said piece. That's going to be helpful. So get that. You will notice we've got a couple links here. We have it for Unreal, we have it for Unity, and then we have it for our motion builder down here as well. We, of course, are going to be using this for Unreal, as mentioned before. So there's that. Let's keep going. You'll get this downloads page when you actually get all of your accounts set up. So I'm not going to leave a link for this one. I will click on this one, though. So the Faceware Livelink for Unreal. Let's click at this. Wait for it. If you've got the Unreal launcher, you can certainly do a search for Faceware Livelink, right? So then you can actually find that. You will have an actual download button here, not an open in launcher. So you don't have to worry about that one. What it's going to do is it's going to add it to your version of Unreal, whichever version you're using, right? So we got 4.2.7.5. Okay. So that's going to be awesome. You'll have to get that into your actual machine. We'll talk about those software here in a minute. Some of the other things that are good to know. So you may want a little bit more background on how to make this stuff run. Have somebody else kind of give you a tutorial. So if you go over to the community page and do a search for Faceware Glassbox MetaHuman Workflow Overview. Yeah,
simple.
So the gentleman that does this is a gentleman by the name of Nick. I was actually very fortunate to meet him a couple months ago in New York. Incredibly intelligent. Like, he does a really, really good job talking about this stuff. He uses a little bit different information. We're going to be using live me. You'll be able to see me as long as it doesn't crash, right? What he's actually using is pre-recorded video from a head cam, and you can actually see the video of her right up here. This is the lady, the actress that's actually doing this, which is awesome. They've got that face cam on there. You'll notice she doesn't have those little dots all over her face. The little things on the side, these little head faces, we'll talk about those when we get there, but you can actually animate with those too and layer animations over what you've already pulling from the Livelink. The other thing that's going on within this is that he has the actual audio. As mentioned before with the video, hopefully this will work. The audio, I can't record audio and actually talk to you all at the same time. It would cut out, and I'm not going to fight that. So we're not actually going to do the audio part of it, but I will show you how to kind of set it up and sync it inside of the sequencer if we get to that point. If we don't, leave a comment down below and we'll do another one. Okay. So this is a really cool walkthrough. He goes a lot farther in depth than I'm going to today because he actually can go through and edit these. So they're really good. Nick does an amazing job with this. We got more. Wait for it.
But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's always more. I swear we're getting to the fun stuff, but I got to get this stuff out of the way so that's right here at the beginning. And check the description down below so you can see where these kind of start and end on the time codes. The other one is an actual webinar. And actually, if I zip ahead here a little bit, he always looks so excited in these videos, but this is Nick up here in the top right. He's so stoic up here in the corner, right?
Nice.
So he's the guy that actually does the videos. He does it, like I said, he does an amazing job. This is another webinar where they go through and actually talk about it. Tina's a great hostess. It's always awesome to kind of watch her. She gets so excited about stuff. It's like, I feel like her and I would get along really well. I'm like, oh, this stuff is so cool. This is amazing, right? But yeah, definitely check this out if you're interested in that as well. There's still a few more. Wait for it. The other thing that I want to point out, and we'll get to this, and I will leave this link. Actually, did I grab this one in here? Let's make sure these are on here. So we'll grab that one.
We can throw these links. We'll have to gather these links and put them in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is the one that had the videos. This is the actual webinar we were just talking about. And then this one is the actual Livelink, like how do I set this stuff up? And what's really cool about this is that what we're going to do is we're going to skip all of this and go directly to the bottom and do this part. This is going to make it real easy to do, which is awesome. So this is definitely one of the links that you're going to want to have on hand when you actually set this stuff up. So, all right. So that's all the boring stuff. Wah, wah, wah. I'm also going to be letting you know, let's go ahead and just move this off screen because I'm going to want bits and pieces of it. If you've never gotten the Unreal Engine, it's going to take a while to download. Okay, so this is another reason I want to get the stuff here in the beginning of this. If you haven't gotten the software for Livelink stuff, it's going to take a while to download. If you haven't created a MetaHuman and got it into your world yet, it's going to take a while to set up. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Actually, I need to do it from Unreal. And I'm going to get it running in the background because we're going to be able to go in and kind of play with the MetaHumans. I do want to touch with that a little bit. So let's go ahead from here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our first project that we're going to be able to run our Livelink stuff in. So check a timestamp kind of a thing, right?
So yeah, so what's the let's talk about the overview of what steps we have ahead of us here. Are we going to do let's get a lay of the land on where we're heading. So what are we going to do first and next, and what's our sequence going to look like?
All right. So the projected plan is what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new project. I've already got one open. We're going to open up Faceware. We're going to get Faceware working because the project always takes a little bit long to get running. And then once we've got Faceware working, we're going to actually link it to Unreal. And once we have that link set up, we're going to be actually able to animate the face on the MetaHuman. From
when
there,
do we bring the MetaHuman in? Is that the project?
Oh, yeah,
is there a MetaHuman sample project that we're opening? Is that how it's going to be?
No, we're going to go ahead and bring one in from the Quixel Bridge side.
Okay. So we're going to do like an Unreal project, get that opened up, start the Faceware, or are we going to get the MetaHuman going first and then go into Faceware?
I would like to get the MetaHuman going because it kind of takes a little bit to get going.
Okay, cool.
And then we'll do the Faceware side. We'll do the Unreal side, and then we'll get Faceware running, and then we'll jump back into Unreal. Yeah.
We'll link them together. Okay, cool. At least now we know kind of like where, it's like someone's like, yeah, dog legs to the right and the pin is behind that tree over there. And then I hit it off to the left anyway. But, it's good. It's good to know.
Good to know where we're going. Yeah, I agree. I think that's fun. I get so excited. I'm like, watch all the cool stuff, right? So that's why we record these so I can go back and go, oh, that was a bad idea, Southwell. What did you do that for?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to be using Unreal 510, or sorry, 501. So I haven't gotten 0.2. It is out as of this recording, but I'm not going to use that one. So we can go ahead and launch this up. Again, this will take a little bit to get going. If you haven't already opened it, I've already kind of set Unreal up in the background. It's already cached some stuff, so it's going to be pretty quick. You'll notice our little loading buttons or numbers down here. If it like stops, like is it 95? It's like, hey,
The infamous like 74 or whatever it is, one of those percentages where it just hangs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's work.
It'll just hang right there, right? So this is done. I don't need this anymore. So I can go ahead and just close that down. This is the project browser. What I've done is I've gone into the games section in here, and I basically just want a blank slate. I don't want anything in this. You can bring this stuff that we're about to do into an existing project. I'm going to start from scratch. The reason I'm going to do that is just there's less stuff inside the content drawer and browser, so I don't get confused. So you all don't get confused. It makes the tutorial easier. So we're going to click on the blank one. Over here on the right-hand side, I'll say, do you want a blueprint, C++? We're going to go ahead and do blueprint. That's fine. Target platform, we're using a desktop. Quality presets, we use Maxim. Starter content, no. And ray tracing, no. Then it's a matter of saying where you want to actually save this and what you want to save it as. Okay. I've already got one made, but really all you'd have to do is go ahead and hit the create button and it will just make it for you and you'll be done. Ta-da. And then you just sit and kind of wait for it to do its thing. So I don't need this, but you will go ahead and hit that create button. So
which version of Unreal are you going to be using for this demo?
5.0.1.
Ooh, he likes his new versions.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Awesome.
You're going to get something that looks kind of like this. When it opens up in the blank one, what it's actually done is it's created a world for world partition. So open world worlds. We don't need that. And it takes a little bit extra to like make it work. So we're going to actually create our own level. This is really easy. And I'm so happy that it is. So all we need to do is come up here is go ahead and say file. I'm going to say new level. We'll get this little pop-up right here. And what we want to do is create just a basic world. So this one right here. What this is going to do is it's going to give us all our lights. You can see that. And then we're going to have this ground floor that you see right here, right? And the background. We love our backgrounds, right? So just hit that and then just go ahead and say create. I've already got one, so I'm going to hit cancel. What you'll then notice is inside your content drawer, you should now have a basic map. You can name it whatever you want because it'll ask you for a name for it. And I just named it basic map. That's all I need, right? And then be sure to save it. So right click on it, choose save or Control S, whatever it is that you feel comfortable for saving. Because we want this one now saved because yay, we're about to do some fun stuff inside of here, right? Okay. Next up, how do we create a MetaHuman? If you're in Unreal 4, you'll have to go to the bridge externally. But if you're here, you can come up to this little button up here at the top, this little guy right here, right? And you'll see we have Quixel Bridge right there. So within Quixel Bridge, let's click on that. It'll pop up as its own little window. Wait for it. One of these days, I'm going to start like a timer of how often I'm waiting for things. it's going to be so depressing.
Right. You're going to be like, wow, I should have really figured out how to squeeze in some knitting in between all of my waiting.
So many things I could have done.
Nice
I could have got more Wordles done.
You love them Wordles.
Oh, good Lord. I'm so bad at those. Okay. So here inside of Bridge, you'll notice that this is a floating window, right? So you can kind of put it where you want if you want on another screen. I'm going to go ahead and just dock this up here at the top. So it's right here next to the basic map. And inside of here, if you come down a little ways, there is MetaHumans. We'll go ahead and click on that. Now, these MetaHumans are all of the pre-made, ready to go. Any of these will work. For those of you that are taking notes, what I would highly suggest is finding one that either has really, really short hair, like, you know, so we got Kellen over here. We've also got Omar. I'm going to use Omar. You can see he's already checked. I've already got him downloaded. And the reason that I would suggest doing that is that it's just going to, some of them with longer hair, it's not a bad thing, but some of them with longer hair, as you get further away from them, their hair disappears and you're like, what's going on? That is currently a feature, not a bug. It is in development. Some of the hair doesn't have level of detail. So as you get far away from it, it kind of disappears. Also having no hair or less hair on the character makes it run faster inside of Unreal. So I would suggest using one that has very little hair or no hair. So that will help out a bunch. So there's all of these ones. Now you will also notice over here, there is a little spot that says presets, right? Or sorry, my MetaHumans. So if I click on this, so these are the ones that I've created in the past. They're really easy to create. if you click on any of these, let's go ahead and just click on Matilda here. You will notice that there is a button over here that says Start MetaHuman. If it doesn't say Start MetaHuman, it may say something like Log In. Again, go ahead and just use your Unreal login and you can get right into it and you won't have any problems. So that's how you can set that up. It may say login down here too. I've got download and add because I'm already logged in. You have a quality over here, so high, medium, low. I just use the highest quality, but I know for sure that my machine can handle it. You can run MetaHumans on a 1080 or equivalent, so don't panic. Like you don't have to have a beastly computer. A nice one's helpful, but you can do that. Okay. Look over here. This is really important. When you hit this download button, go have lunch. Like it will literally, even on a really fast machine and a fast internet connection, it can take anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. So I've already pre-baked my MetaHuman, as it were, right? So it's already come out of the oven. It's nice and pretty and ready to go. And I'm using Omar, but this will literally take a really long time. The other thing that will also take a long time, if you want to create your own MetaHuman, you can go into this Start MHC. This will actually open up the browser. You can get inside of there and create your own MetaHuman. We had a video a while ago where I went ahead and did this, so I'm not going to do it here. If you're interested in more tutorials on that, though, let me know. I would gladly jump in there. Like, there's some really cool stuff that we can definitely make happen, right? Do I want to run this in the background? You know what? I'm going to say no today. I don't need to do that one. So, yeah. So if we come down here to Omar, where did Omar go? He's over here, right? You can see down here at the bottom, it actually says, yay, downloaded. Like it's already in there. Like I don't have to worry about it. He's good to go. And there's a little check mark up here in the top right. Now, the other thing, we have one here, highest export quality, right? So this will actually send it out at the highest one. These folders that this guy is going to live in, they're like 2 gigs. Okay. I don't want you to think they're small. They're like 2 gigs. They're beasts, right? That's why they take so long to like process and get going and put the bones in them and get them ready for animation. And there's some really cool stuff. We're going to disable some stuff and because my machine can't handle it. So I'll let you know where we're going to disable a few things for animation. So that'll be nice too. So there's your MetaHuman part. Once you have your MetaHuman actually downloaded and on your machine and actually in your project, because once you download it, and then you're going to want to hit the add button down here at the bottom. Once you hit your add button, you will get, let's go to our content drawer down here. You will get a new folder. It says MetaHumans. I'll just zoom in on this one, right? So yay, MetaHumans. So now inside of my MetaHumans, you can see we have our comment and we have Omar. So Omar's the character that we want. So let's go ahead and open up this folder. And you'll have body, face, hair, head, hair, materials, right? So this is what we're going to be actually animating. This is a blueprint actor. Okay. This is a blueprint actor. This is not a pawn. This is not a character. Okay. This is a little bit different. Come back. And I'm going to do is click and drag Omar in here. And at this point, oh, hold on. I actually forgot one thing. Before you even get to this, let's back this up. When you go ahead and add this in here, sorry, I totally forget about this every time because I don't have to deal with it right now. When you add this in here, you're most likely going to get a bunch of errors inside of Unreal, and they will pop up over here on the far right-hand side. There are 3, as of this recording, plugins that need to be enabled. Okay. Just say enable, and Unreal will take care of everything for you. It may prompt you to reset it, and that's fine. That's totally cool. Just let it do its thing. Again, now it's time to go get dinner because it's going to take a while to do some more stuff, right?
So no last minute MetaHuman projects, apparently.
No last minute MetaHuman anything ever. Good Lord. Here's another one too. When you drag this in here, this is what made me think of this. You're going to get another little bar down here in the bottom that's going to say compiling shaders. And there's like 7,000 some odd shaders that are going to happen in here, right? While those shaders are compiling, it's going to be a good day. While those shaders are compiling, you can do anything you want inside the engine. They just kind of run in the background. You will get like a checkerboard texture on the materials on everything outside of your MetaHuman until they actually are up to run up in speed. So a couple things that you got to wait for. You got to wait for the plugins to enable. You got to wait for the shaders to actually get going. You have to wait for the MetaHuman to actually download, right? So me talking about this, you might have had enough time to like, get the MetaHuman thing open to play with it, right? Like there's a lot of waiting. Don't expect this to happen immediately. So, but yay, now we have our MetaHuman in here. Huzzah! That's exactly what we're looking for. So at this point, What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and jump over to Faceware, because now what we're going to do is we're going to actually set up the camera and get this stuff up and running and looking like we want to. I'm going to leave Unreal running in the background. Okay, so just minimize this. I'm going to bring over Faceware. Oh, here's the fun part. Did it crash on me? Sometimes it does not like me at all. So let's do this. When you actually download it, it's underneath Studio, not Faceware Studio, by the way, just so you know.
Interesting. It looks like phase. It looks like the phase icon.
Right. Okay, now here's the part that I really hope will work, because I've had Faceware Studio. Yes, it worked. Awesome. So sometimes Faceware Studio will just turn white and just hang out on my computer and won't do anything for like a half an hour, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, it's not doing anything. And I actually have to uninstall it and then reinstall it to get it to work again. I've done it about 3 times already with the trial. I don't know if it's my machine or if it's the software or there's something else going on. Every time I've restarted it, it's worked fine. So just want to put that out there. You may run into that little bug. All the technical difficulties today. Okay,
you get
so Faceware Studio. Oh, yes, question.
You don't want to mess with this guy, though.
No, he's a little rough. So you can actually left mouse and click and just make him look the other way. That's nice.
Man, yeah, exactly.
See a seam right down the back of his head. Okay. So this is the default kind of interface. When you first log into it, it'll be like, oh, using the trial, use your email and your password to get in. It'll open it up. You'll get another pop-up that will show up in here, and it's like, hey, welcome to Faceware Studio. Do all the fun things. I've just disabled it because I didn't want it to pop up, but just say, okay, that's fine. That's cool. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of the interface inside of here. Really what we're going to be playing with is this real-time setup, the streaming panel, and then a little bit of stuff over here. And that's really it. That's really all we have to worry about, at least to kind of get started. You'll notice down here on the bottom left, there's an info panel. This will actually guide you through step-by-step what I'm about to show you, and actually tell you a bunch of other really cool things. It's about 4 or 5 pages long. It's definitely worth looking into, especially if you're going to be, doing this in the classroom. So there's that. Okay. Step 1 inside of Faceware Studio, once we have it open, we want to go ahead and select the camera because we are actually going to be using the live section. If you have pre-recorded media that you want to go ahead and bring in, that's awesome. Go ahead and bring that in. That video that I was talking about earlier, that Nick does and all those, that's where he goes. So we're going to do live for this one. Let's go ahead and select a camera. I only have one camera on here. So go ahead and select said camera. And let's see if it will actually fail to connect as in use.
You'll have to turn your camera off on.
Yep. All right. So let's see if we can
look at your icon
and still run this one at the same time. Stop mic and cam. Ooh. There's stop cam.
There you go.
Okay. Can you all still hear me?
Yep.
Check. Okay. Cool.
Check indeed.
Sweet. All right. So we'll go up to select the camera and grab this one.
Maybe have to restart.
Yeah, let's try this. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Seriously. I don't have any of my stuffed animals to create any kind of intermission puppet show or anything.
Right.
Okay.
Camera.
Let's see. Come on, baby.
Oh, no fun. No. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of mute myself.
Okay.
So you can kind of see what this is. I will walk through this and I will circle things and I'll make it real easy to kind of see. So let me jump out of here real quick. So if
he's circling, selecting the camera, getting that error again. I wonder if you were to tell your browser not to use your camera and mic, to take away its permission.
That might be a thing. So let me see if I can do that on my end. Oh, it's just trying to do sound. All right, so let me go ahead and take my camera off the side, then we'll try that again.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he's gone. He left the studio. Folks, it's just me. How we doing today? So this is fun stuff, huh? We got Faceware Studio. The Gatlin's back. Oh, he's gone again. Right. So the problem we're having is we've got camera for the stream, camera for the Faceware, one camera being shared by both. So that's the struggle.
Maybe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
All right. Interesting.
Does your browser have like the little camera icon that you can click on, and then can you block the access to it?
And it was like, no, I'm done. It like cut me off completely. Interesting. Okay. So I'll at least walk through this so y'all can kind of see what's actually going to happen with this. If you come up here and go ahead and choose that select camera, your camera should pop up over here on the left-hand side, which is awesome. It makes it really easy to kind of deal with. And then there's a little button that actually pops up down here in the bottom left. What it's going to do is it's going to ask you to look at the camera and make a very neutral face. Once you've made a neutral face, you just hit that little button and it instantly leaks what you're doing here to this character over here on the right. It's like that, like it's super quick. So that's really nice to have. Like it's super cool. The other thing that you may notice though, when you start to actually play with it, is that it definitely does it with me. My eyebrows are actually like very different. They're not, they're not built like this. They're actually built like this. So I have to go through and have to kind of like tone some of these down, right? So these little sliders over here on the right hand side, they're tuning it so that you're like, okay, well, my eyebrows are like they're not animating quite right. Like I need to kind of make them a little bit less, or I need to make them a little bit harder. One of the other things, I'm going to use one of the filters up here. So if you click on eyes, your eyes might end up blinking too hard or not enough while you're actually animating this. And if that happens, you can kind of turn those down too. So there's a lot of little pieces over here you can fine tune to get your actor to actually drive your face over here on the left. Sorry, on the right, your other left, whatever it happens to be, right? And that's it. Like that's really all you have to do to kind of get this like calibrated and ready to go, which is really, really nice. So once we actually have this, I would love for this to work. This is so much fun. One last time. No, you're lame. Okay. You never know. The next thing that we want to do is actually come up here to the streaming panel. And within the streaming panel, what this is going to do is it's going to say, hey, we want to send this over to, in our case, Unreal, right? And the thing that's important to remember is this one right here. Now, 802 is the default, so that you know, right? It's totally the default one. And with this, all you have to do is when you go over to Unreal, be like, oh, that's the one I want, right? Just click on it. Bop, it's ready to go. The other thing that we have just above here is the stream to client. So this is your on-off button. So once you click this, it'll actually try and connect with Unreal. And once you're connected with Unreal, anything that you're doing here drives this guy, and this guy then goes back up here. It goes to Unreal, and it just drives your MetaHuman. But before we do that, we need to set up our MetaHuman so that we'll actually take on this information. It's such a bummer that it's not going to do it, but we can at least get the steps. It's not that tough to do.
Do you want to try? Do you want to take another troubleshooting tangent and see if you could? So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if you were to disable your browser camera, okay, and I think it'll probably disable camera and mic, and then it says the browser needs to be restarted. And then if you go back into the streaming and only enable your microphone, or actually once you're out completely, then get Faceware connected, because then Faceware will lock the camera. And then the browser won't be able to take the camera back. And then maybe you could just give microphone permission.
This is why we're a team, because he's coming up with this stuff.
I mean, I feel like it's worth a shot, because it would be cool to be able to see.
Have you got your stuffed animals ready? Because we're going to do this.
Yeah, we can do. I'm making stuff up, telling stories.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. See that, people? Let's see if that worked. Trying to solve problems here. So he's closing his browser, which was locking the camera away from Faceware. So hopefully when he runs Faceware again, it gets access to the camera. And then when he goes into the browser will get rejected so that he can keep the camera in Faceware. That's the story. That's the plan. Let's see what happens when he comes back, after he finishes orbiting the moon and re-enters. This stuff is super cool. I've seen, people posting on LinkedIn and on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, this concept is so fun and awesome. I wanted to make sure that we can highlight it for you. So let's see. I think he's coming back. What? There he is. Success.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh
Oh,
my
cool.
gosh.
Clever like you have a genius. Okay.
The-
So you may notice that the stream rate is just absolutely atrocious. So this is actually a good thing to kind of bring up too. So one of the things that you can do, you can see my mouse is actually working pretty fast, but I'm like 2 frames a second, and that's happening right here, right? So this is a nice little troubleshoot thing. Click on the resolution and you can choose which resolution you want. I've got to go down here a little ways. This 1024 by 576 peg, whatever this happens to be. I'm going to go and choose this one and wait for it. And check it out. Now I got 30 frames a second. Boom. Right. Yay. Everything's working just as fast as it needs to. Cool. So next, what I'm going to do is it says calibrated no. Hey, there's that little calibrated thing, right? Do we get this in the timer? Can we get this in the time? All right. So calibrated neutral pose. So I'm just going to look at the camera, and I'm actually going to move the microphone a little bit. Right. So there it is. Ta-da. Yeah.
I love it.
It's super creepy. What's really fun now that we've got this running, right? You can actually get quite a ways away.
Wow.
So it's pretty powerful. As mentioned before, I'll go ahead and mention again, take off your glasses, take off your hat. If you've got facial hair and it's not picking up your lips, then you definitely want to go ahead and shave that off. I got lucky. I didn't have to totally shave everything off. Part of the reason I still have a goatee after growing up in the 90s is because it's less to shave. I'm lazy. Right. Okay. Let's talk about a few caveats now that we actually have this working. You will notice if I look straight up, watch what happens to my eyes. I'm going to leave them open in the real world, right? Right. They're starting to kind of close. And if I turn my head just side to side, the mouth starts to kind of freak out, right? Because it's not getting a nice clean setup. So the advantage of having a webcam is it's inexpensive, but the other part, the advantage of actually having that face thing that like stays in front of you is that when you turn your head, you're not actually losing, the tracking that's going on your face. You can see if I do this, like it doesn't work anymore. Something I did find, I had my son on my lap, and if I would turn and move, it would actually track to him. And then I'd have to like zoom out and find the head because it would like shoot off down here. Because in space, it was down there further on my lap. It was actually very cute.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Next thing, let's talk about those eyebrows. So let's actually go to browse here. And if I actually take this brown, so if I go up, so you go up, right? And I go down, right? And if I turn these down, you'll see that they don't go down nearly as far. If I do these, turn these down, right? You can see they don't go up nearly as far. Cool. So you have a lot of like fine-tuned control, which is great because every actor and actress are going to be very, very different. Right. So you can totally play with these. Oh, it's going to let me do it. Click, drag. There we go. So little sliders. I'm not going to jump into it, but I will mention it. And Nick goes into his under motion effects. You can actually have certain sliders drive other sliders. So if you've got characters or creatures that need certain mechanics, like, when one eyebrow goes up, you want them to be symmetrical all the time. You can actually have the left brow drive the right brow, which is kind of entertaining. So there you go.
Interesting.
Okay. So from here, let's get this connected to the Unreal Engine. So we need that streaming panel up here on the top left, right? We'll need these two little spots. I'm going to go and just slide this off, and let's bring back Unreal. Here we go. Okay. So the other thing you're going to need is another piece of plugin kind of thing. So in Unreal 5, you will find your plugins over here under settings. You'll find your plugins right here. And inside of the plugins, wait for it, come back, do a search. Oh, shoot. Up. 1 second. This is where this comes in because you're going to want to have this actually installed. So this is the Faceware Livelink. This is the one that I was talking about earlier. So this should be in and running inside of there. Once it's actually installed in the engine, when you go into the plugins, you should see a little spot up here that says animation. And there it is, Facelink. Now I've got mine already installed and ready to go. When you click on that little checkbox, you'll get a little message down here below that says, hey, by the way, you're going to have to restart the engine. This is actually really fast. It's not something you have to go get coffee for. You can, it's pretty quick. So once it actually installs it into this project, and it'll just come right back up and you should be right back where you left off. So if you need to save anything, it'll save it and close it and do the thing. Okay. So next up, we need to actually get to the interface that's going to drive the Livelink connection. So if we come up here into Window, come down here into Virtual Production, this will be here as soon as you get that plugin actually set up, and it'll say Livelink. So we'll just open that up. And this is another little floating window. We don't need Bridge anymore, right? So we have our little floating window. Like, good Lord, another interface. Don't worry. There's only like 3 clicks. 1, click on Source. 2, go to Livelink. and say, okay. You'll notice that port number, check it out, 802. It's already there by default. I'm actually running this on the same machine. So this is the host machine. If you need to connect it to another one, that's where that's actually going from. We're not going to fiddle with the subject name under animation values, so we don't have to worry about that. So 1, 2, 3, right? So yay, and it says, hey, it's receiving. Well, let me do this. I'm going to slide this one over. Actually, let's dock this here too. And then let's bring up Livelink again. Oh, there was another one open in the background. Oh, that might have been why it was fighting me. Okay, so here's this part, right? So Livelink on the right, Unreal on the left. So stream to client. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn this on. Ta-da, and we get another one over here. This is animation values. So you will notice that this is green. That is because it is getting information from here, right? So this is bringing it in. So at this point, this little bad boy, I can totally just take off screen. I don't even need you anymore. I'm not going to close it because it needs to be running in the background. It is sending data to Unreal. But our little guy isn't working yet. You're like, well, why? Why isn't it working yet? So this is where we're going to go through setting up our MetaHuman to actually receive data. Unreal is receiving data. Now we want to set Omar, in this case, to actually set up to actually really receive data. So let's go into the content browser and our Omar blueprint. We'll go ahead and double click on this. This is a moment when you might want to get a drink because it will take a minute for this blueprint to open up if you haven't opened it up prior, just so you know. If we come up here to the viewport, we can actually see Omar. Yay, there he is. Lord, don't need a camera that's going that fast, right? So Omar's not doing anything just yet. So what we need to do is we need to tell Omar's face and body to actually take on this data. So to do that, we're going to go first. Actually, let's do face first. So we'll do face first. Go face first. Click our face. We're going to select its component up here, right? And then over here on the right-hand side, what we're looking for is this animation section. Okay. Inside of here, we have animation mode. So this should be set to use animation blueprint. If it's not, set that. Okay. And underneath it, we have our animation class. And right now mine's set to none. I don't know what the default is. Yours is probably going to be a little bit different. If I click on this, we have a whole list of stuff that's in here.
Wow.
Like, good Lord, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, hold on. If you don't have these, okay. So you'll notice this one up at the top, we've got one, and at the very end of it, it says body. Okay, if you don't have these inside of this document, right? What we're going to want to do, so we have this installing, download, enable the plugin. So we've already done that. So launching the plugin and Faceware Studio, we got that character control set up. This is this really long document, and it tells you how to set all this stuff up. And we're going to skip it completely because down here at the bottom, there is this, and it says blueprint zip file. You want that, because this is going to make your life so much easier. So we're going to click on this, and it's going to take us to a Dropbox link, and it's say, hey, download the thing. This is what you're going to download. Good Lord, that was weird, right? So this you're going to download, and then right click on it and go ahead and unzip it. So extract all. That will leave you with this. So this Motion Logic FWLL, right? So this one. This bad boy is what we're going to need inside of our Unreal project to get it to work. So instead of going through the entire tutorial in here, which we don't want to do. So this is making it real easy for us. So this, let's go ahead and copy. Oh, I'm in the downloads folder. That's easy enough. So let's open up a new browser because I need to show you a thing. So a new window here. Let's go into downloads. This whole folder, right? So let's just make this real easy, right? This folder, this Motion Logic right here. We need to get this folder inside of Unreal. For those that are taking notes, don't drag and drop, right? That's not good, because what it's going to do is it's going to tell you, I don't understand what this thing is. Instead, we need to do this. And this is a little bit weird, especially if you're kind of new to Unreal. Most of the time you just drag and drop, which is great, right? What we need to do is we're going to go to our content folder. Okay, I'm going to right click on it, and we're going to say show in, where are you at? Show in Explorer, because we have to go to the actual folder structure inside of Windows. So we can go into there, and then we're like, yay, there's that one. All right, let's take this out of the way because we don't need it. Okay, so what we have on the left is our Faceware project. Inside of there, we have a content folder. Inside of the content folder, you need to actually just drag and drop this in here. And you can see I've already got one right there. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. This will allow us to make this a lot faster instead of going through the whole tutorial of writing all that blueprint stuff, which can be confusing for beginners, and y'all don't need that. So don't worry about that. So we want to take that logic one and drop it into the content folder.
Nice. It's there if you need it. If you want to go into the nitty gritty, go for it.
Yeah,
give it a try. And if you need to punt and go to the simple setup, you can do that as well. So
one of the things I really like about having that there is that now we can go back and like reverse engineer it. Like that's super awesome.
That is a great way of learning is taking something that already works and breaking it many different ways and trying to fix it.
All the ways. Okay. So next up, this is where this animation class thing comes in, right? So make sure that we have that set up. So I'll click on this. I'm going to hover over this top one. Like I said, you can see this one is for the body. And if I hover over the one just below it, you can see that this one is the actual, oh, come here. Is it going to give it to me? Yeah. So this is the face. So I'm going to use the face. Ta-da.
What?
It does it, right? That's all it takes.
No way.
We're just doing it. We're not done yet. So I'm going to go up to the body and I'm going to do the same thing. And in this case, I'm actually going to grab the Livelink body one.
Whoa.
And now we're in, right?
That's so cool. Hey, now it's like your camera's working.
Right. So you can see, like, even though like it looks like I'm getting all squinty eyed, this is me just smiling and like being excited about this, but it's making his eyes kind of like squint. And you can see my right eye actually squints a little bit more than my left eye. So you can see this thing is really accurate. It's really impressive. So yeah. Right. All right. So now that this is actually running inside of here, we want to go ahead and say compile. Wait for it. Okay, cool. So this is the blueprint. I'm going to go ahead and save this as well. And I'm going to go ahead and close it for right now. Livelink will leave running, right? But you'll notice here inside of the game engine, it's not actually doing anything. And you're like, well, wait a minute, what happened? Like, what's going on? It's only going to run when the game is running. So instead of actually just running the game, I'm actually going to run the game in simulate mode. So we go to simulate. Hey, there we go. So now it's actually working. So it literally is a live link directly into the game engine. Like, this is totally what you're doing. So one of the things I find really exciting about this is that it gives us a chance to like get into an actual game and be the game character while the game is running. Like, that's amazing to me. Like, that's super fun.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And so like you could have like your own set, your whatever. You could do like a mock interview with like a historic character, and you could actually do the speaking and the movement of as the character.
Yeah, like
this is like really a bad Grand Theft Auto scene, right?
Right. So getting in there and fine tuning like the eyebrows. So that's what. And so we bring this back over. That's what all these little sliders are going to help you actually drive. Because it's actually running in the background because it's paused. But yeah, this is what, if you need to fine tune it, there it is. So that's what's going on there. Okay, so let's come back over here. Okay, so what do we got for time left?
Good.
We got like 48 minutes. Okay, yeah, we can do this. So the next thing, so now that we have this all connected and it's running, I don't need the ground actually selected. It's like, okay, well, how do we actually, oh, good Lord, machine. How do we actually like record this so we can use this for a game character? And we can use that using the take recorder. Now, as mentioned before, because I'm running a microphone and a camera and everything, I can't record the audio. I believe there is a way to actually record audio inside of Unreal. I've never been successful with a vanilla version. I think there's a plugin that you can get. If you've got some way of actually recording your audio, you can then layer these pieces together. And hopefully I'll get to that point in the video. So we may end up speeding up a little bit. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the simulation here. And I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. It's just going to make it a little bit easier, but also for another reason. So next up, now that we've got all this connected, let's actually do a recording so that we can use this in game, right? We want, like, that's the whole reason that we want to do this, right? So when we're running this, we can actually run this in game. Again, we're not going to be able to record the audio. So to do that, we need to bring up what's called the take recorder. So we come up here into window, into cinematics, you will find what's called the take recorder. Not to be fused with tape recorder. Those have long gone.
Or taking a recorder away from somebody.
Steal the recorder. All right, so this is going to open up a whole new little bit of interface. You may, in Unreal 4, your sequencer may be floating. You can just drop it down here in the bottom. That's fine. It's safe down there. On the right here, we have a take recorder, right? You'll notice that our record isn't going to actually let us record. So how do we get this to set up? So there's a couple things that we need to kind of set up prior to this. So one moment. I'll grab my notes. Oh goodness, where did they go? Because we need to tell it to do something kind of specific. And I want to make sure that I'm getting this right so you'll have the correct information. Specifically, what we need to do is know where these things are going to be recorded and saved to within the project. And we need to also check our frame rate. So I've got it. So within here, if we open this up, if we look at the real-time setup, you'll see that we're running at 30 frames a second. Well, if we look over here, you can see that we're running at 24 frames a second. So that's one. So let's go ahead and click on this, and we can set this to 30 frames per second. Okay, so now that we've got a one-to-one. So if you've got recorded media and it's running at 60 frames a second, you want to grab it from, or if you're grabbing it from like TV and you're in the United States, you want to run it with NTSC, which is, what is our 2396, right? Or if you're running somewhere in Europe, you've got PAL. So you've got all your different frame rates in here. Okay, next we need to set up a few things inside of the project. So let's go into our project settings. Wait for it, right? And I'm going to type in at the top of this frame rate. Okay, so I'm in project settings. Okay, I've typed in frame rate, and you'll see down here under the general settings, there's a whole bunch of frame rate stuff. If you're running 60 frames a second, you want to use your fixed frame rate, right? And then actually change that to 60. We're using 30, so I don't have to worry about changing anything, but that's where this is going to be. So you make sure you're syncing those two pieces together, which is really helpful. The other thing that you can do, if you scroll way down here to the bottom, you'll find a little thing in here that says take recorder. It's way down here at the bottom, way down here at the bottom. Inside of here, if you're wondering like where are these things going to go and how is it going to be saved, right? We have where we can actually save this information. So the root drive where the take is going to be end up, where the slate name, the slate little clappers, those are slates. So you can actually see where all of that information is going to be. So if you need to alter any of that information, this is where you can actually change it within the project. So that's a good thing, right? Next little piece, we need to set up, I think. Yep. Okay, cool. So that's good there. So now what we're going to do is we need to get Omar actually in the take recorder so that we can record him, because it doesn't know what you want to record until you tell it. A couple ways to do this. Easiest way is to actually, if you can find your character here in your outliner, just click and drag them in there. Otherwise, select them, and you can also choose source, and you say from actor, and then you can choose whatever actor you need to drag in here. Omar's already in here, so he's not showing up in the list. So there's that. Next, we need to tell it what part of Omar we actually want to record. To make things simple, because I can't really do a full body with this, we're just going to record his head. So we'll select Omar here, and down here below, we have all of Omar's things that we can record. I'm going to go to this very top one, and I'm going to turn this off. Just going to toggle everything off, and then I'm going to come down here a little ways, and underneath our root and underneath our body, keep scrolling, you'll find one that's just the face. So I'm going to click that, and now we're recording just his face. So we're not really, technically we're not going to be recording his neck, but you'll see what's going to happen. It's actually kind of interesting. So now I have all of this. Cool. So he is now set up to be recorded, and you'll notice, check it out, our record button is now ready to go. Cool. So let's go ahead and do a recording. So let's get the camera kind of where I want it. Doesn't really matter where it's at, but it'll just kind of help, right? Here's the caveat. You have to be inside of simulation mode. This is why I turned it off a minute ago, because otherwise you'd be like, why isn't it working, right? You have to be in simulation mode or playing the game when you're going to do the take. Otherwise, he's not going to animate, right? Yeah. So we'll go ahead and hit record. And I can go ahead and look left, look to the right, look down, kind of, look up, right? Kind of look over to the side. Poor thing's having a hard time with my lips. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit my stop button up here. Boom. That's going to do a thing, right? And you're like, well, where did all that information go? It just like totally disappeared. So this is why it's helpful to know where that stuff went. I'm also still in simulation mode, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off like so. All right, let's go into our content drawer. You will now have a cinematics. Inside of cinematics, you have takes. Inside of takes, you have today's date. Inside of today's date, you have the actual level sequence. Then we actually have a subsequence. So let's open up our subsequence. Inside of here, we have another sequence, another level sequence, and we have an animation folder. Inside of our animation folder, we have our actual animation sequence. This is where all of that animation just went. Okay. To play it, we need to put it in a sequence. But let's open this up, because if you're on a slower machine, there's some things that we can do to actually help your frame rate and make it actually look nice and pretty. So double click on it, maybe go get a coffee. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad, right? And if I were to, it actually is playing. I don't know if you can see this, but it's not a play button. It's on pause and it's playing, but you can see nothing's really happening. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, my machine can't handle it. And two, I'm streaming and doing a bunch of other stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the playing. There it goes. So it's now stopped. And we need to get rid of a couple things. I'm going to zoom in here. And if you look at this curves is running, at 1,000, almost 12 or almost 1,100 different curves it's trying to animate at once. Some of this stuff is programmatically created and we don't need it, especially for what I'm doing right now. So let's go and get rid of the things we don't need. There are two pieces that you don't need. One is an LOD. Okay, I don't need that right now. And the other one is a wrinkle map. A wrinkle map. So these are both being generated depending on how close you are to the character. We are doing something real basic. We don't need it. We're not doing a production at this point. If you're doing a production, you're going to want all that stuff, but we're doing stuff for games and it's pretty simple. So I'm going to type inside our filter right here. I'm going to type in LOD. So LOD. Oh, and it's going to crash. Ooh, I wonder how much of this stuff got saved. Okay,
oh boy.
Womp, womp, womp. Got pretty good. We got almost all the way through without a crash.
Pretty far.
One of the things that's actually nice that even though it's crashed, not that the crash is nice, but because the project was already open and had all this stuff in it, it's ready to go. Like it opens 10 times faster than it once did, which is awesome. Yeah, let's go ahead and restore that one. I'm just telling it to restore everything that had backup saves, which is nice. It's not in source control. Yeah, I know. That's fine. I'm not using source control for this one. Womp, womp, womp. All right. So there's Omar. Let's go ahead and check to see how much it's saved. Animations. Yay. There's his animations. Let's open that up. Ah, cool. So everything's still in here. Yes. I love it when it does this. All right. So let's go into our filter. Type LOD. And now we have all of these curves down here below, and there's a whole bunch of them. I'm going to select the top one. I'm going to hit Control A as an alpha. It's going to select all of them. Now I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to say remove selected curves. This is going to remove all the stuff, all the LODs that we don't need. So I'm just going to say goodbye. Check this out. Now we're down to like 554. He's already animating pretty quickly. Something else that you can get rid of, let's go ahead and just stop the animation here, are those wrinkle maps. So WM, and we have a whole host of these. So I can select one, Control A to select the rest of them, right click on it and remove selected. Now, real quick before I delete these, what these wrinkle maps are, these are normal maps that are being animated so that you get like crow's feet and smile lines and like the really small wrinkles inside the face. So if you need these, you may not want to delete them. Same with the LODs, right? So that's what wrinkle maps are actually doing. So I'll go and just get rid of those. And now we're down to 272. That's a lot better. So if we start this over, we push in on this, right? And if I hit play, you can see it's running really nicely, right? So that will help lower end machines, which is really cool. Pause. Cool. So let's save that because we got rid of all the extra data that we don't need. Okay. So now that we've got this recorded and ready to go, we have another step that we need to do to actually get this character to animate within the game. So to do that, we're going to have to use a level sequence. So we're going to make our own level sequence. We're going to add him to it, and we're going to tell that level sequence to run the animation that we just created. Along the way, I'm going to show you the control rigs. And this is something I was talking about early on, those little faces that were around either side of that actress at the very beginning, right? And we can use those if we really want to, but we're not going to. So inside my content drawer, let's go up to content. I'm going to right click. And inside of here, we need to go into our, where are you at? Animation up here at the very top-ish, the top end of this part of it anyways. What I'm looking for is a level sequence. Okay. So go ahead and click that one. You can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it new level sequence for right now, just for time's sake. Now, if I double click on this, it's going to open up that sequencer down here at the bottom. You're like, hey, look at that. Like, that's awesome. That's exactly what we want, right? We just had one of these things. We are not in the take recorder though. Okay, now we want to actually tell this sequencer to animate Omar. So we can take Omar from over here on the right. We're just going to drag it down here to the bottom left in this big kind of square area and let go. And then Omar will then be animatable. We get a new piece of interface. So in Unreal 5, this will pop up. In Unreal 4, it will not. This will allow you to do select poses, tweens, snappers, trails, all kinds of interesting stuff. You're not going into that like at all. The other thing that you noticed is that we have this. Oh, goodness.
Whoa, cool.
So this will actually allow you to grab these little things and like actually animate him around. Now he won't because he's got other things going on, but you can grab these, and this is a control rig for the face is what it is, which is really cool. And there are like thousands of these little things in here, right? So there's a face control rig. There's a simplified version of this too. We're not going to go into that, but it makes it a little easier for very simple animation. This is like complex animation. It's beautiful, right? You'll also notice that we have a control rig for the entire body. So you can come in here and actually animate, keyframe all your control rig stuff.
Mhm.
We just did face capture stuff. We don't need any of this, right? So I'm going to select both of these control rigs. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit delete on the keyboard. And then those are gone. You'll notice that part of that interface now disappears because we're not actually animating. We still have our body and our face. We are not going to be animating the body because I'm sitting in a chair. So it's not going to help me, right? So I can select the body and I can get rid of that one too, right? So all we're left with inside of the sequencer is the ability to actually animate Omar's face. And that's great because that's all we recorded with the camera. So how do we get that in there? So with the face selected, you'll notice there's a little spot over here that says track. I'm going to click on the track, and inside of here, we'll go to the very top and we'll say animation, and you will find said animation. This is that animation right here that we had recorded just a moment ago when we were looking at in the content drawer. So this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. I'm not going to worry about these other 3 that happen to be in here. If you have lots and lots of animations, it may take you a moment to find the specific one that you want. In that case, check to see where this one right here. So the path up here at the top, check to see where that actual animation is within your project. And that will give you a good idea on which one you actually grabbed, especially if there's a couple of them in here that have the same name. Something to be aware of. All right, so track, animation, go ahead and grab this one. Boom, there we go. Now you will see right where this head was started, which was luckily it's right here at the beginning of it, it actually put that animation in there. You're like, cool. Let's go ahead and open this up a little bit more. So I'm just going to do click and drag there, click and drag there. Where's the end of this animation? Oh, goodness. Let's just, maybe I need to type in like 500 in there. Oh, there it is. It's quite close to the end. All right, so this little purple bar, this is the entire animation of me moving my head and looking around. This little red line is the end of what animation is going to run when we play it in game. So I'm going to grab the little red bar and bring this all the way to the end. I'll go a little bit farther. That's fine. So now we can play the entire thing if we scrub through here. But wait, it's not playing. And why isn't it playing? Why did I watch this hour-long thing and it's not even working?
Seriously, this is a scam.
This is a horrible
1-star review on your Yelp account.
Oh my gosh. I don't even have a Yelp account. It's not working, right?
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's always another thing. So the reason that this isn't actually working, I'm going to select Omar, Control E, and I need to go into his blueprint and change something inside of his blueprint, right? So we're inside of his blueprint. If we select his face, remember we had set this up earlier to be driven by the Livelink stuff, but we're not using Livelink now. We're actually using the sequencer. So we need to change our animation class, right? So we've selected the face, right? We're going to come over here to the animation section, and we're going to go into the animation class. And in this drop down, we're going to set this to face anim BP. So this is face animation blueprint. So I'm going to click that, right? So now if I move my face, it should not move his face. Cool. Yeah. So that's connected, or rather disconnected as it were. And let's go into our basic setup. So inside of here, when we scrub, check it out. Now his face
Yay, look at that.
Oh, and of course it's going to crash. But now you see as I scrub it, it's actually scrubbing his face. But
hey,
wait,
and that's good. He's exfoliating.
it's a thing.
He gets a free face scrub with every purchase.
Right, there you go. So, oh my gosh, that's hysterical. We need t-shirts. Okay, so part of the reason that my machine is crashing, I've got a 3060 graphics card, and there's a current known error inside of here that's having issues when I'm trying to run a couple things at once. So that's what's going on. So don't panic if you're like, why isn't it working, right? Okay, so did it save? It did not. All right, so let's go ahead and create animation, level sequence, and we'll open up set level sequence. We'll go ahead and bring in Omar. I don't need the body or the rigs. Inside of the track, we'll come up to animation. We'll choose set animation. He's not doing what we need to do. Let's actually set this to 500 so that we can see the whole thing like that. So then we need to go into his blueprint. So Control E with him selected. What that's doing is just opening up the editor, right? So there's the face. And over here inside of the animation class, we're going to come down here to face anim BP, compile, save this time, save everything. Save everything. Okay, cool. So now when we scrub, you can see that he is actually moving. Now, if you may or may not notice, mine's actually doing it. His head is actually moving up and down and left and right. And remember, we recorded only the face. So what's happened, if we select him, and then we actually come over here inside the details panel, if I select the face, you will notice that under this animation mode, it's saying use custom mode, when what we had was use animation blueprint. And then we actually set this to face anim BP, right? So now when I scrub through this, let's actually unselect his face and scrub through this. You'll notice that his face is moving, but his head actually isn't, right? And this is what we would expect it to actually do. Now, what's interesting is if I take this little scrubber and I actually go past the animation on either side, and then I come back, all of a sudden his head starts to move. And if we look at this and we go back into here and look at his face, you'll notice that this is then changed back to custom mode. Now, this may be one of those things you're like, oh, cool, I can at least get the head animation, right? But when you play the sequence in a level, it's not going to use this, and his head isn't actually going to move. If you want the head to move, you need to make sure that you're recording the body. Remember, so if we go into here, so Windows, come here, cinematics, so the take recorder, we had actually set it up so that we were only recording his face. Right. So there's also his torso, his legs, and his feet. And I'm pretty sure the torso has actually got the neck bones in it, but I haven't played with it enough to dive into it. I was just worried about the face. Right. So you'll have to record that, bring that actually into your recording sequencer as well. So let's close that down. So window cinematics sequencer is grayed out. Why is it grayed out? I'm not really sure, but if you come back here, go into content, I'm going to bring this one back up, and now you can actually get it. There we go. So now we can actually have him animate and move around. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, last little things, unless you've got questions, Clever Like, because I know you do.
Me? Questions? Never.
Always, right? So as mentioned before, we're not doing audio, right? So how do we get the audio to come in here and actually sync up with it? Well, it's going to take a little bit of manual work. So let me kind of walk you through it. Over here inside of the sequencer, so this is the sequence that's driving his animation. I'm going to click on the track button down here in the bottom left. And we will have one here for audio track. Ta-da, audio track. There we go. We say audio. Well, what do we want to bring in? In mine, you'll notice there's nothing in here. Well, that's fine, because if we go to our content drawer and actually open up our settings and go into our engine content, we can actually get at some default stuff that's built into the engine, so I can at least show you the process. You're going to want to bring your own stuff in, but let me show you what's up. So click on engine content. You will now notice over here, there's an engine folder. So inside the engine folder, and instead of trying to search down in here to find all of the sounds, I'm going to turn on a filter. So this little button right here will actually bring up filters, and we can go into sounds. There we are. And under sounds, I'm going to go to sound cue. So what this filter is going to do is it's going to look in that engine folder and find all of the sound cues, regardless of what other subfolders are in there. And we have all of these. We're like, yay. So now all these are here. Now that these are, we can actually see them, and you can double click on them to check them out. If we go into audio, now we can actually get it, those ones that were in here, right? And we have the actual wave form, so the original sound, or we have a sound cue, right? So if I were to grab, let's see here, let's grab something like, let's use this one. So I'm going to choose that one, and now we actually have our sound file. Now you're not going to be able to hear this because I'm not sharing my audio, right? But then you can actually line this up and be like, okay, where does he begin to open his mouth to say the phrase that he needs to, and where does it actually, the animation end? Then you can actually set up your audio, and you can slide your audio back and forth to get it to match. That's kind of the manual part that you have to kind of worry about, because it's not recording the audio along with the animation at the same time. And when you're in a bigger studio, you're going to have all of that equipment and stuff ready to go. So if you're using this in the classroom, just be aware that you're going to want to record this both through, a couple of different means, which is going to be important. So there we go.
Nice.
We did it.
Wow.
That's the whole thing.
Wow.
I would expect thanks for crashing. So the first time you do this, I would expect it to take anywhere from, 45 minutes to an hour to kind of get the hang of it. And then once you get used to it, it's considerably faster. So don't panic. Like it's all good for you.
Well, it's cool. I mean, you walk through like all the things that you need to gather up and get involved, and then the steps to do it, which you can pause and step through as you're waiting for things to load, and you're having lunch, and you're having dinner, and you're having coffee, which are all the things that you need to also have planned apparently in this roster of activities. And that's really just absolutely cool, though.
Yeah,
I really love
I'm
that.
really excited to sit down and kind of play with push this even farther. Like this is the basic stuff, and I'm like, cool, this is fun, right? But
Yeah.
you could I'm thinking like Fortnite stuff too. Like you can have particles coming out of their mouth, like as they're talking, as they say certain things, and you can link audio
Yeah.
to like set events off in the sequencer. Like there's so many crazy things that you can do with this.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all kinds of ideas with all those settings that you can manipulate and stuff like that. I'm wondering even if the I was thinking of the some of these horror games and stuff like that. I'm wondering if MetaHumans has like an entire horror genre of zombies and stuff like that. That'd be super cool to be able to make scary things.
I guarantee they're out there. I mean, if I know some of the webinars that we had, Tom Shannon, it was like, oh, I made like my cousin, like, and it looks like him. Like, I was like, that looks like you. He's like, yeah, we can't get him like perfect, but we could definitely get like a cousin or a relative of like yourself. I'm like, that's super cool. So yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
You can, one of the other things I want to mention is, once you've got that MetaHuman in there, like you can drag it in, the MetaHuman goes onto your hard drive, and then that you can get as an FBX, and you can drop it into something like Blender or Maya, and then actually kind of dissect and look at the bones and look at the way they're actually setting that stuff up, so that when you go to actually animate it, and it's rigged already for Unreal, so you can kind of look at it there. But the other thing that I was doing, because the sculpting aspect, is you can take those MetaHumans and drop them into ZBrush and be like, oh, this is the poly count that they're looking for. This is how the UVs are set up, right? So it's not just about getting these things to animate and looking cool. Like, just this reverse engineering stuff is so cool, because it allows you to be like, oh, that's how they make video games. I can go make money doing that, right? Or I'm just going to make my own, right? I'm just going to have fun like every night from like 10 to 12. I'm just going to like make cool stuff, right? Like, it's so cool. I love it.
Nice. And we all know that you use ZBrush for everything. It's like you made a little recipe catalog using ZBrush, use it for your word processing, also use it for 3D modeling and
I'm doing my
stuff,
animation
right?
in there. No,
But you do everything in ZBrush. Yeah. Like, hey guys, I shared a document with you on ZBrush. A little outline on what we're going to be doing today.
This is where the AI is built into it. You think I'm kidding? I know where it's at.
Nice. All right, cool. Thanks for all your work on this. This is a super cool overview, and I think something everyone's going to be excited to try to do, because being able to like control this this artificial human with your own face is like a super cool thing, and I love how quickly that happens. So thanks a lot. And everybody, like, if you do this, share it, post us, tag us on Twitter at CleverLike, or you see on our screen our individual Twitter handles. You can tag us as well, and we'll amplify your message, find out what you're working on. But yeah, what do you need to know next? What can we help you with? Where are you taking this? Let us know what you need and what you're doing, and let's all make some great stuff together.
Yeah, 30 days is a long time to play with this. Like a long time. In an hour, we're up and running, right? Like, good Lord.
Yeah, that's if they give you permission to share, like, to help other educators understand how accessible this is. That would be cool. If you dive into it and find some things and you're able to share what you found, that would be cool as well. So think about helping other people get into it as well. All right, dude. Good job today.
Yeah.
Thanks
for sticking around while I had to go off camera.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm like I'm trying to do like shadow puppets and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Adios.